Hi, I'm Michael Matthews, and today we're going to be doing the 8-minute song challenge. Chris Rubin gave me the song Straight to Hell by The Clash, and you'll actually find a link to the song itself, a video on YouTube, down in the notes. You'll also find a copy of the document that I put together for the adventure using that particular song. So what he asked me to do is Wasteland Survival, so what I put together is what I call Situation in Malamore. Taking the idea that this is happening in a portion of a sort of post-apocalyptic city. If you go too far into the city, it's been bombed out, there's radiation. But in this place, they've been able to thrive. And you've essentially got a colony that used to be a bunch of religious hippies that showed up and were going to hopefully do this whole commune, everyone shares equally, everyone gets along, which in an apocalyptic society is kind of dumb unless you've got a lot of really strong people. Well, the strong people decided that they're going to take over. And about 5 years after that is the situation that the players come into. So I've got three different factions that I put together. You've got the Rebirth Syndicate, which was the original name of the group. The Rebirth Syndicate themselves are essentially the armed portion. These are the Warlord Aurora, who she's pretty much in charge of the whole thing, and she has some of her lieutenants. They have been kind of ruling a bit with an iron fist. Now you've got the Cleansed, and the Cleansed are their super religious zealots that originally were part of this commune, this society. And one of the things they do is they actually manufacture this drug called Ripple that is an extremely potent, I want to say hypothesis, extremely potent hallucinogen that's very popular in the areas around where Malamore is. It's one of the ways that they actually get along with the various factions that are off in the area because they are the ones producing this drug that is very well liked. And the other one is the Shadows. The Shadows are essentially the children that they have taken in. One of the things that they've still kept the myth of what Malamore used to be alive. So a lot of people, if they can't take care of their children, like, oh, if you bring the children to us, they'll be cared for, they'll be given some education, like we have enough to do it. Well, what they use them for mostly is labor. Now you've got all your regular people that are part of it too, that are not part of any of those factions, and they are sort of thrown out into the middle. They're the ones who kind of let other people do things. So when the players come in, you have this downtrodden faction, the Shadows, led by a kid named Dust. Now, what Dust wants to do is he wants to essentially ignite tensions between the Cleansed and the Rebirth Syndicate so that a whole bunch of shit blows up all at once, and literally in some cases. Because he's got another kid, Gadget, who is with him, he's learned a little bit about how to do explosives. A lot of the other kids, they're getting old enough because it's been 5 years, so they never really had a plan for what happens when these kids stop being kids. So the problem is Rebirth Syndicate's not a particularly good long-range thinking. They are keeping stuff together currently, and they're making sure that other factions out in the wastes are not coming to them, but they have essentially set things up to be a powder keg. One thing I didn't want to do is make it so that the players had a specific place that they were automatically going to go. Now, the fact that you've got a whole bunch of orphans looking for help is going to make a lot of players think, oh, here's where our sensitivity should lie. This is where our loyalty should be, because you've got the innocent kids. The problem is, if the innocent kids win, you find out Dust is a little bloodthirsty, has got it in to be a really awful leader, but he's also a kid. He doesn't know what he's doing, which is one of the big problems, because if you don't have the strength in order to keep the other people from invading, you're going to lose your town. If you don't have the drugs that the Cleansed put together, you're going to end up losing your town. If you don't have the labor that the kids help with, you can't have the drugs, you're going to lose the town. So they're basically coming to a place where none of these three factions are actually set up well to keep this thing going, which can be fine. The players can decide to throw in with one faction or another and then just go on their way. But I want to face the idea in this that it's not just you go in, you bring these people over, and things go well. The song itself had a lot to do with how like children and immigrants and such were treated after various wars. So I wanted to kind of dig into the fact of that, but then it evolved as I was working on it to become something that kind of pointed out the fact that life is super hard in an apocalyptic wasteland, and if you've got other people who might come in and take over, the person who's being strong enough to keep you from being may be treated worse is the devil you know. And sometimes the devil you know is better than the really, really screwed up devil who's coming in to take over. Essentially, like the cleansed have been starting to get into it with the syndicate because they want to have more power. One of the things Dust wants to do is basically cause an explosion while this is happening so that the syndicate blames the cleansed because they wouldn't blame anybody else. Now, what I have in here is I have it set up the way that kind of that's good for an improv GM, and actually with the next video I'm putting up will be very helpful. It's set up so that if the PCs never show up, you have this is what's going to happen. And essentially, the place is going to be kind of laid bare. The cleansed and the rebirth syndicate are going to go at it to the point where there's not a whole lot of them left. The shadows, because they don't have the best idea, they've got a good way of sparking a war, but then they want to be involved, and that's going to go very poorly, leading to this whole place being essentially so weak that other people are able to come in and take over. So that's got what's going to happen if the players never show up. So you as a GM already know what their sort of plans are on a basic level. Then it's also got, like, how are they going to react to the PCs? What are they going to want from the PCs? Of course, if they seem like they're warriors, which, I mean, let's be honest, it's PCs in a post-apocalyptic game, yeah, they're going to seem like warriors. That tends to be what they are. Most games, combat's pretty big. If you've got a game where you're all farmers, awesome. This would still be an interesting place for them to go, but they're not going to be noticed as much. So the kids are going to want to take advantage of them and use them to help them free themselves, which seems like your standard PC thing to do. The Rebirth Syndicate has a point. If they don't have strength to show when other people come, they're going to get taken over because the cleansed can't do it, and the regular, like, common folk are not going to be very good at doing it either. So they are the strong iron fist that keeps other people from coming in. The cleansed are religious zealots who believe they should be running things, and they are not going to deal particularly well. And they're not warriors. So when they come into this situation where the players get to kind of go where they want, decide what is the thing that they find kind of interesting about it, and then look at what are the long-term effects going to be. Because if you're doing stuff with Wasteland Apocalypse, the characters often have to look short-term. I find it really interesting if you have to look long. So if you do check out the song, you'll have an idea of, well, you'll hear exactly what I listened to that got me interested, or that made me think through this. You'll also see in the document that I put there, the initial notes I took are at the bottom. So you can kind of see a little bit of the train of thought. I sometimes do this. I've done this at conventions at Fear the Con before, where I've literally sat down with no idea. I've told the players, pick a song. They pick one song, I listen to it twice, I choose a system, and I run a game. Now here, I've got a little bit more time, and I want to give this document so that it's something that you can use as a post-apocalyptic adventure. So that is the situation in Malamore from Straight to Hell from The Clash. Thank you, Chris Rubin, friend of mine from New Jersey, and I will catch you later. If you like it, go ahead and subscribe, share if you want, check out some of the other videos, or go to the 8-minute song challenge and put up your own genre and music. So you give me a music, video, song, link, that I can listen to, and then a genre of role-playing game that you want, and I will put together a adventure for you or a campaign starter. Have a great evening.